Welcome back to Turkish Stars Explained. If you like fast, no-fluff breakdowns of what these platform moves actually mean, hit subscribe right now because the next few weeks are going to be full of real rollout signals, and I'll be tracking them as they appear. Today's video is an official style update on El Turco, but not in the we have a date way. We already covered the January 15th launch and the full season drop format. This time, the angle is different. It's about how the platform is positioning the show, and why that positioning is a signal that can matter more than the date itself. Because in the streaming era, the release date is just the door. The real story is what happens after the door opens. How hard the platform pushes, how the audience responds, and whether the rollout is designed for local success only, or for a bigger international narrative. So here's what we're doing today. We're going to separate hype from signals. We'll focus on the parts that actually change the global potential conversation. And we'll end with the exact 3 signals to watch right after launch, so you'll know if this is a real gateway moment for Jaan Yaman, or just a strong regional run. Let's start with the big difference between what people think matters and what platforms actually care about. Most comments you see online are about one thing: availability. Where can I watch it? Why is it blocked in my country? Will it have English subtitles? Is it dubbed? And I get it, that's the viewer experience. But behind the scenes, platforms think in a different language. Accessibility, packaging, distribution, and repeatable demand. That's why 2 phrases matter so much when they show up in official platform messaging. Shot in English. Sold internationally. These are not just fun facts. They are positioning choices. First signal. Shot in English changes the friction level. If El Turco is being positioned as shot in English, that instantly lowers the friction for international audiences. And friction is everything. Here's why. People underestimate how many viewers drop off because of small barriers. Not because they don't like subtitles, but because subtitles feel like work for a casual click. Not because dubbing is evil, but because dubbing can break immersion for people who care about performance. Not because language is a deal breaker, but because the moment they feel disconnected, they bounce. When a project is shot in English, you remove a chunk of that friction. It becomes easier to sample, easier to share, easier for casual viewers to try without committing. And in the first 48 hours of a release, sampling is one of the biggest drivers of momentum. Now you might say, okay, but if it's in English, why do subtitles still matter? Because even when a show is in English, subtitles are still a huge accessibility feature. Since audio mixing, viewers who watch quietly or in public, people who simply prefer subtitles because it helps them catch every detail. So yes, the ideal setup is always options. Original audio plus subtitles for viewers who want them. If it's truly shot in English, the no dubbing problem becomes much smaller. But the subtitle option request is still valid, and honestly, it's a sign of a modern audience. Here's the practical point. If the platform emphasizes English filming, it's usually because they want the show to travel. They want it to feel internationally accessible. They want press and social media to talk about it in a way that doesn't immediately trigger language barrier debates. That's why this is a bigger signal than it looks. Second signal. Sold to 30+ countries is not a flex, it's a distribution strategy. The second phrase that changes the conversation is international sales. If El Turco is being framed as sold across many countries, that tells you the show isn't being treated like a single market product. It's being treated like a packaged export. And packaged exports usually have 3 traits. They are designed for broad appeal. They have clean marketing hooks. They have rollout flexibility. Here's what sold to many countries can realistically mean in practice. Multiple buyers already see value in the product. The distributor expects a return beyond one region. The show can be rolled out in waves without losing its global story. This also explains something a lot of viewers find confusing. Why can a show exist online but still be blocked in my country? Why do some regions get it early and others later? Why is it on one platform here and a different platform there? That's distribution. And distribution is messy, especially when rights are split by region, by window, and sometimes even by language version. So when people say, "It's sold internationally," what you should hear is, this is likely to appear in more places over time, but not always simultaneously. The important takeaway is not, when will my country get it? The important takeaway is, the project is being positioned as international inventory, not just local content. And that matters for Jaan Yaman's broader arc, because international inventory creates a narrative platforms love. Momentum. Platforms do not just chase views. They chase stories about views. They chase the feeling that something is building. That's why you'll see some projects get more push after they start picking up internationally, even if the initial launch is quiet. Because once the distribution story becomes "this is traveling," the platform has a reason to amplify it. Third signal. Spain is not just a country, it's a gateway test. Now let's talk about the market itself. Spain can be a gateway market. Not because it's the biggest in the world, but because it can be a strong conversion test. Here's what a gateway market does. Takes attention and turns it into repeatable mainstream demand. Fans are great, but fandom doesn't always translate into broad casual reach. A gateway market is where you find out if non-fans will click, stay, and recommend. And Spain has a few advantages in that scenario. A strong TV and streaming culture. Active entertainment media. A platform environment where placement and trending visibility can matter fast. So if El Turco lands and gets meaningful push, Spain can become a proof point in a bigger narrative. This is not only a fan-driven spike. This is a show that can convert. And conversion is what changes careers internationally. Because international careers don't scale on one moment. They scale on repeated evidence that new audiences keep saying yes. So the core idea of today's video is this. The date is not the story. The positioning is the story. Now let's make it practical. What should we watch right after launch to know if this is real? Signal 1 to watch after launch. Homepage placement and visibility. The simplest way to explain this is, if a platform believes in something, they put it in your face. Strong homepage placement, featured rows, hero banners, consistent visibility. That's a vote of confidence. Not a guarantee of success, but proof of intent. If the show shows up quietly, buried deep, with minimal promotion, that's a different signal. It means the platform is letting it float rather than pushing it. And for a gateway test, intent matters. You can't convert casual audiences if the show is invisible to them. Signal 2 to watch after launch. Retention, not just clicks. A lot of creators talk about views like it's the only thing. Platforms care about something more brutal. How many people start and how many people finish. Retention is the difference between a quick curiosity spike and real momentum. If people press play and stop after 10 minutes, the algorithm learns the wrong lesson. If people binge multiple episodes, the algorithm learns the right lesson. This keeps people watching. And because El Turco is expected to drop as a full batch, the binge behavior becomes even more important. Full drops can create fast spikes, but they also reveal the truth quickly. Do people keep going? That's why you'll often see the first few days determine whether a show stays visible or fades. Signal 3 to watch after launch. Non-fan buzz and mainstream pickup. This is the signal most people miss. Fan comments are supportive, but fan comments are expected. The bigger sign is when people outside the core audience start talking. You'll know it's happening when you see casual viewers reacting like, "I didn't expect this to be so good." Entertainment pages covering it without fan framing. Neutral accounts sharing clips because the scene is compelling, not just because the star is famous. That's crossover. And crossover is what transforms a project from a fandom win into a platform win. Now, here's my quick opinion on why this matters for Jaan Yaman specifically. Jaan is at a phase where international momentum is about pattern building. Not one-off headlines. Not one viral clip. Pattern. Pattern looks like this. A strong base in one market. A second market that tests conversion. A third stage where bigger platforms start taking the story seriously because the momentum becomes repeatable. If El Turco is positioned as internationally accessible and widely sold, that supports the pattern. It makes the story easier to sell, easier to distribute, and easier for platforms to justify push. But again, none of it matters if the rollout signals don't follow. So if you want to judge this correctly, don't judge it by excitement. Judge it by placement, retention, and non-fan buzz. That's the real scoreboard. Now I want your take. Do you think a full season drop helps momentum because people can binge and build hype fast? Or hurts momentum because the conversation burns out quickly? Comment help or hurt. And a second question. Do you think Spain can become the strongest gateway market for Jaan Yaman? Or does he still need a major global platform next? Comment Spain or global. If this breakdown helped, leave a like. And if you're not subscribed yet, hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because as soon as we get the first real post-launch signals, I'll do a fast update with what they actually mean. See you in the next one.